Talktainment Radio Worldwide Sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
This is the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Good morning, and welcome to 2018. You're listening to the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby. This is TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. And again, you're in touch with the Compensatory Concept. I'm Mr. Bobby, and this is radio the way it should be heard. Mr. Fuller is on the line live from Washington, D.C. He is the author of the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, which he will explain to you. We will also take your calls at 1-877-932-9766. You can Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, at gmail.com. You can also watch us, the live broadcast of the Compensatory Concept. All you have to do is go to YouTube and type in the word Talktainment, then hit the space bar, then type in the word radio. Scroll down to Talktainment number 2 live on YouTube, and you can also hear us live at TalkTainmentRadio.com. While you're there, hit the like button, do that, and also I think you can leave a comment. I believe you can do that. Anyway, do that here on TalkTainmentRadio.com. Today's program, we're going to deal with Mr. Fuller often refers to the movie Shawshank Redemption, basically the prison concept. And we're going to have Mr. Fuller explain that to particularly those who are new to the show, what he means by saying that. And then we will proceed there, also take your phone calls. Mr. Fuller, good morning, and how are you this day?
Good morning. I'm still learning.
Okay. Mr. Fuller, you often refer to the movie Shawshank Redemption. There's a couple other movies you refer to, Casablanca and a few others, but in the system of racism, which is white supremacy, you often refer to it in a prison system. For those who are new to the program, could you explain to them what you mean by that? Well,
when people are in captivity, and the captivity never really ended, in other words, no people came around a table and say that we no longer have the situation as it was, or any derivative thereof. See, you can have, anything can start out being, prison systems themselves have changed over a period of time, but they're still prison systems. So political systems, or systems of slavery, have modifications. And so, as a result of racism, which was institutionalized presumably according to the evidence by people who believed in something called white supremacy, they made captives of the people that they presumed that they were supposed to be anointed supreme over. And they invented a thing called racism, which is in the form of what, in a functional way, called loosely sometimes white supremacy, but that is an accurate description. And they say now we have a category of people based on the royalist principle, capital and communal, based on the royalist principle, meaning holier than thou. the king and the queen can do no wrong. And so if you're classified as white, you're kings and you're queens, if you're classified as white. And when it comes to people who are not classified as white, you can do no wrong against them. Anything that you do with them is okay, because they're nothing but a bunch of scraps anyway. I mean, they're just raw material to be used for whatever you fancy raw material should be used for, like tin or iron ore or autumn leaves or whatever. So they came up with the idea of, well, we will take these people as our captives because we are anointed to do so. We're saying that we're, by divine right or whatever. And anyhow, we've come to that conclusion that we can do that. We can mistreat anybody, but it won't be mistreatment. We'll just call it just something that we're doing because we're anointed to do so. And but if it amounts to what they call mistreatment, well, we'll just say that it's not mistreatment. It's just a natural order of things. So we'll take these people into our captivity. Now, any form of captivity is a form of imprisonment. Any form of mistreatment, and this is the key word, mistreatment, is a form of captivity, which is also a form of imprisonment. So that's why I sometimes use the movie Shawshank Redemption, or you can use almost any movie or any novel or anything that you know about that's real, where people are being mistreated and do not know what to do about the mistreatment. They have no protection from the mistreatment. They haven't figured out how to keep from being mistreated. So anytime any people are subject to that, when they have been imprisoned by another people under any kind of system, under any kind of name, mistreatment, mainly, any type of mistreatment is a form of imprisonment when you can't prevent the mistreatment. You're in prison. Mm-hmm. Doesn't have to be walls around you or anything like that. The wall is you're being mistreated, and you don't know what to do about it. That's the wall. Mm-hmm. So that's the analogy.
Okay.
And so right now, the non-white people of this planet, according to the evidence, are prisoners of war, because anytime you mistreat people, you have made war on that person. That's war. See, we have different definitions for war, but that's really a war. Anytime someone is mistreating you and you can't stop the mistreatment, or even if you're making an effort to stop the mistreatment, as long as the mistreatment continues, that's war. W-A-R. And so the black people of this planet have been made war on and have become prisoners of war. To whom? To all of the white people who believe in mistreating people based on color. And that hasn't changed. So the summation is all black people, everybody classified as black and are non-white on the planet Earth here in 2018, as of this morning, are prisoners of war. We're war prisoners.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, you've identified certain characters in the scenario of the prison, such as the warden, prison guards, etc., etc. Now, with the warden being the principal character or the director of the prison system, can that warden do anything that he or she wants to at any time they want to? And I bring that up in reference to the fact that the president of this concept called the United States said that he can do anything at any time he wants to do it. So using the analogy of the prison system, of racism, which is white supremacy, can they do, or can he do anything that he wants to at any time that he gets ready to do it?
Well, that's not just a declaration, and I won't address President Trump directly. I would just say any white person who has taken the position that they can do anything that they want to against a non-white person, that's just not a statement, an abstract statement or a hypothetical. That is a fact, because since the only government on the planet is the government of white supremacy that's worthy of being called government, the only solid government, the only thing that hasn't basically changed since its inauguration, that is the inauguration of the system of white supremacy. Once it was established, there's no other government, no other religion, no other political system or tribal system that's been superior to that system. So any white person that steps forward and say, I can do anything to non-white people that I want to do, and nobody's big enough and bad enough to do anything about it, other than maybe the Creator, which, according to the evidence, the Creator has chosen not to do anything about it. Maybe the Creator, and this is strictly my opinion, is waiting on his creations to do something about it. And looking to his creations, the people who are subject to the system, to do something about it. Maybe that's our assignment, because that's the position that I've taken, that's the assignment of the prisoners of war, is to not be prisoners of war. And that's the assignment. That's their assignment. But we are not on our assignment. We are dodging our assignment, in my opinion. But that's strictly my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We have other priorities, all right? And that's why things keep getting worse and worse and worse. Because the priority when you have an entire world system of mistreatment is to, first of all, making that in the minds of correct thinking, logical thinking, get rid of mistreatment first, and then work out the scientific things and other things that you might call your culture or whatever it is you want to say that you should be doing.
Yes.
Take care of business first.
Okay. Since you say that we have a problem, and the problem is with us, we have an assignment, then you said that all problems are solved through questions and answers. Then how would we go about to get in the business of taking care of this assignment?
Through the process of questions and answers. In other words, like in the textbook, the textbook for victims of white supremacy, which you can get by going to producejustice.com, in the revised expanded edition, I have 4 questions that you ask. What do you plan to do? Everybody, what do you want to do, rather? I was talking about wants, W-A-N-T-S. And I've said this over and over again on this program. What do you want to do? Because everybody, every creature wants to do something. A squirrel right now wants to cross the road or climb the tree. A cat wants to go down this particular street rather than the other street, or go down this particular alley, and examine whatever's going on down there. Look for some food, maybe. That's a want. A bird that is migrating from one place to another has a want. You may look up at the bird flying around in a circle in the sky, and you may say, that bird's just flying around in a circle. But the bird wants to fly around in a circle. That's why the bird is flying around in a circle, unless some external force is causing it to fly in a manner that it doesn't want to fly in. But that bird has wants, not just every now and then, but every waking moment. It's the same way with a person. Even if it's just a simple thing of getting out of one chair and crossing the room and sitting in another chair. That's the result of a want. Why did you change chairs? Because you wanted to. Why? Because you say, well, the chair on the other side of the room seems to be more comfortable, because I'm not comfortable in this chair that I'm in. So these are wants. So it comes down to every day if you're going to solve problems, first thing you think about is, what do you want to do? Because everybody has some type of problem. Babies have problems from the moment that they're born, so they want to do something. They want to not have a problem, all right? So you say, what do you want to do? So this is what you ask people during the day if you want to get clarity, if you want to know what's on people's minds. People want to do things. So in order to get an understanding of people's behavior, you raise that question. What do you want to do? Then the next question is, why do you want to do it? Why do you want to do this thing that you want to do? Because there are reasons why people want to do things. I want to go downtown. Well, why do you want to go downtown? All right. The next question, how do you plan to do what you want to do? This is your want, so you must have a plan. Or do you have a plan? How do you plan to do what you want to do? And don't interject yourself into the answer. In other words, sometimes when we ask a person a question, we want to help them with the answer. We want to guide them to the answer that we think that they should be going to. No, you don't do that. Let the person say what it is they want to do, how that person, why that person wants to do it, and how that person plans to do it, if they have one. They may, when you get to that third question, say, well, I want to do such and such, and the reason I want to do such and such is such and such and such, but I really haven't thought of a plan. I'm trying to think of a plan. Maybe you can help me with a plan. Well, then they can say that. I don't have a plan. All right? But that is the question. How do you plan to do what you want to do? It's you who wants to do it. How do you plan to do it? And number 4 is the clincher question. All these questions are important, but this is the bottom line question. What do you expect the constructive result to be? Now, that's a loaded question. What do you expect the constructive result to be of what you want to do? This is something you want to do. Now, what do you expect the constructive result to be? Mm-hmm. And you underline that word constructive.
Yes.
So that word constructive, nobody should ever want to do anything that's not going to produce a constructive result.
Yes, sir. Let's take a phone call. All right, line number 1. Okay, line number 1, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, please.
Am I on?
Yes.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Mr. Fuller, in studying your work and studying the works of others, I've come to realize that white supremacy racism is not only conveys benefits to Caucasian people, but more importantly, it conveys status. And it is that status that holds white supremacy and white people together. As Lyndon Johnson and George Wallace said, the average peckerwood in the trailer parks in the South don't mind Mr. Charlie picking their pockets so long as they have a class of Negroes to look down upon and feel good about themselves in terms of, I'm not those people. So in terms of the average Confederate soldier had no slaves to fight for, but was willing to shed their blood for the plantation class, which holds white supremacy, which is the status of white supremacy during slavery, during the Confederacy. So my question to you is, how do we, in looking at that dynamic, that, white supremacy racism confers status to people, our enemies are clearly indicating to us that they have a self-esteem issue, that they have poor self-esteem, they have low self-esteem, which is a clear weakness. So how do we exploit that weakness of our enemies, which they broadcast, which they wear on their sleeves, in terms of their desire to maintain white supremacy, because it conveys psychological and sociological status to them?
Okay. Mr. Fuller?
You just changed the concept of what royalism is, because that's just a royalist concept, like the old Roman Empire and all like that. I mean, I'm the emperor. Anything that I say goes. I mean, even when I'm wrong, I'm right. I mean, and so that, when you put it on a color basis, that idea spread everywhere. And so every white person walks around and say, yeah, I might not have any shoes on my feet, but I'm still better than all these black people. All right, I might be the most ignorant person in the world, but I'm white. All right, so you will bow down to me. You will do what I say do if you have color in your skin. That's all. The concept of racism is very simple. I mean, it's really forthright. There's nothing complicated about it at all. It's that, if you happen to be born white, and that's just something that happens, you say, hey, what does being born white means? Oh, buddy, I mean, being born white, oh, let me tell you about that. Now, hey, if you're classified as white, you get a lot of benefits that you won't get if you're classified as non-white. Now, let's get that straight. It's benefits. It's not just being white. It's benefits that go with that because you are born in the royal class. And anything that you do to a person who's non-white is okay. But, anything that you do, correct or incorrect, there is no correctness and incorrectness when it comes to those things called non-white people. All right? You do whatever you want to do for your convenience. Now, do you want to accept that or do you want to reject it? Because if you reject it, it means you got to do a whole lot of heavy lifting on your own. I mean, you don't have that royal status. So everybody kind of likes to feel a little bit, royal. That's what you call self-esteem and whatnot. But you're not supposed to be royal at somebody else's expense when you mistreat other people in order to sustain your royalty. That's where the problem is, mistreatment. You're going to take somebody's land, take somebody's food. It's like some of the ancient kings used to do. The king said, well, hey, I don't have enough revenue. I'm going to refurbish my palace. So go down there and take some goats away from the people outside the gates there. If you see the sheep herder going down the road and he's got 15 sheep, you take 10 of them, all right? And then we'll sell them, and then we'll put new chandeliers in the castle. See, that's what royalism is about. Among a lot of, particularly the ancient people, and right on up to this modern day. You just go and take what you want from the people who have stuff, the people who are working hard, and you sit up there and do nothing, but just say, hey, I'm entitled to all of this because I'm royal. I mean, hey, I can refurbish my castle, and you all can, I'll take your house and, and sell it. I mean, I have my tradesmen out there who will name the price and whatnot of what they will get. We'll decide what the price is going to be, even when we sell what we took from you. All right? And therefore, we own everything because, you people are nothing but scraps for the royal class to use, just like the gentleman that just called in. That's the answer to the question.
Okay.
So what you do is codify, because they have a code, a royal code, a method for doing all of this, their plan for doing all of this. Now, the people who are subject to it, particularly when you're talking about royalism as practiced in the form of racism, the victims of racism, the prisoners of war, the people who are taken advantage of, the thing that is missing is a code for resisting and destroying that system, because the system never should have existed in the first place. Now, that's the one thing that we, as the victims of this racism, don't have.
Yes, sir.
We have a lot of slogans. We come up with slogans about every 3 or 4 years. We got a brand new slogan. And we have a lot of meetings talking about our agony. And sometimes, we'll try to find a little joy even in our agony. We'll write songs and whatnot where we do a lot of foot stomping and hand clapping and whatnot, and bolstering our desire for a change through song and through poetry and that type of thing. But an actual plan, that's the missing link.
Yes, sir.
And that's what, on this program, right this morning, and from every other program, in my opinion, you don't have an assembly of black people unless you have a plan for getting rid of the system. That's when you start doing your talking. think about a plan first. And then when you talk to someone, say, I think this should be a part of a plan or a code for eliminating this racist system, this royalist system, this gangster royalist system, and replace it with the system of justice, which means what? Guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help.
Okay. TalkTimitRadio.com is a 24/7, no-charge worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news, lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, and politics. Now, here's a couple that I would like to share with you. And one is called It's Your Time to Travel by Ricky Tias, and also Wiggins World by Stacey Wiggins. Now, these shows are exclusive to TalkTamitRadio.com, and all you have to do, if you're interested, is go to the TalkTamitRadio.com homepage. You click on programs for the scheduled times. Talktainment Radio, that's radio the way it should be heard. Hi, I'm Mr. Bobby. I'm the co-host of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller here on TalkTamitRadio.com. The phone lines are now open. You can call in at 1-877-932-9766. You can Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, at gmail.com, and we will try to read those. You can also look at the live broadcast of the Compensatory Concept. All you have to do is go to YouTube and type in the word Talktainment, then hit the space bar and type in the word radio. Scroll down to Talktainment 2 live on YouTube, and you can see and hear us there. And also you can go to Facebook.com/Talktainment for the rebroadcast of the day's program. So those are the ways that you can get in contact with the show or leave a message. We're speaking about prison systems in the system of racism, which is white supremacy. Mr. Fuller started off. We had a problem, and the problem is the assignment. We need to do that. The questions came up: what do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? How do you plan to do it? And most importantly, Mr. Fuller pointed out, what do you expect the constructive result to be? Now, speaking of that royalty, Mr. Fuller, by the actions that this particular royalty has said or done by punitive action, it looks that it could be tacky, tragic, and terroristic. What is your thought on that?
Well, these are the three characteristics of the interaction between white people and non-white people in the system of white supremacy. And it's also, as a result of that, the arrangements, and I put it under the umbrella of the tragic arrangement, and this is also the arrangement that non-white people have with each other. And this is why nothing works the way that it ought to work. Tacky, trashy, and or terroristic. This is the type of arrangement that we have with everybody. Tacky, trashy, and or terroristic. It's going to be one or the other, or a combination of all three. It doesn't get any better than that.
Okay.
And that needs to be replaced with what I call the quality relationship, meaning everything that we do in all 9 areas of activity has constructive value.
Oh.
But right now, everything is either tacky, meaning it's just something that's sloppily thrown together, or if you try to improve on the tackiness, like, a black person talking to a white person, you can tell that it's, the conversation. I mean, they're smiling, they're handshaking, and they're doing all this, but you can tell that it's tacky. It's something missing.
Something missing.
It doesn't have a lot of depth to it.
Okay, we'll pick that up on the other.
People understand this.
Yeah, we will pick that up on the other side of the break.
All right.
Okay, TalkToHimAtRadio.com. We go where you go. Check us out on 94.1 WGRN. Podcasts are available. Download the TalkToHimAtRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. We are still talking about the prison system in the system of racism, which is white supremacy.
Attention Central Ohio. Are you looking for a full-service cleaning company? Call C&E Cleaning Services. No jobs too large or small. And we also clean homes. We are bonded and insured for your protection. Call us today at 614-450-0463. Number again is 614-450-0463. Our expert staff is courteous and professional. You'll be glad you called C&E. Call us today at 614-450-0463.
References provided upon request. We are looking to hire a few good people. Call today.
Goddess, girl, you got this. Dynasty Goddess virgin hair. Watch them stop and stare. Soft, luxurious hair. Dynasty Goddess virgin hair.
Stop paying for overpriced virgin hair. Introducing Dynasty Goddess hair. Soft, luxurious, high-quality hair at affordable prices. Visit dynastygoddess.com or call 800-285-6210. Dynasty Goddess hair.
Pastor Clifford Riley and the congregation at Mount Gerizim Missionary Baptist Church cordially invite you to worship with us. Yes, come to the Mountain of Blessings for a spirited, love-filled experience. Our Sunday services and twice on Wednesday Bible study will change your life. We are located at 2633 Mock Road, and our phone number is 614-475-9712. Again, 2633 Mock Road, or call 614-475-9712.
Are you ready to earn a certification in healthcare, business, or manufacturing while achieving your high school diploma? Then you're ready for Life Skills High School, a free public school option for Ohio students 16 to 21 years old. Learn more about your free high school educational options at lifeskillshs.org.
Queen's Legacy of Love 12 brand launch and grand opening. Currently looking for hosts, photographers, models, dancers, entertainers, ushers, comedians, production managers, model coordinators, stage crew, vendors, volunteers, sponsors, public relations and media personnel, and extras. Contact GGoldQQueen22@yahoo.com.
Queens of Queens.
For the best home fragrance and beauty products, shop Ash Kickin online.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Made with 100% natural quality ingredients and handcrafted with your family in mind, Ash Kickin products are better than those other guys. Ash Kickin candles, incense, body butter, face moisturizer, and hair moisturizer are priced just right, and you can get yours at 10% off with coupon code TALK17. Support this 100% black-owned business and get your home and body smelling and feeling all right.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Shop Ash Kickin online at www.ashkickin.com.
This is Al Edmondson, owner of a Cutter Brother Rest Barbershop. I'm calling on all barbers and beauticians. It's time for us to unite as one. We can serve our communities better together. Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Be the change that you want to see in your community. Join our network.
If you or someone you know is abusing drugs and or alcohol and want to stop the abuse, contact APDS at 1409 East Livingston Avenue. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. APDS is certified by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and primarily funded through the Adam H. Board. Fees are based on your income and always accepted. For more information, call 614-253-4448.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkToHimAtRadio.com.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Go ahead. Make my day.
You got the power.
TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby. I am the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. We are discussing today the prison system of racism which is white supremacy. Mr. Fuller has indicated different things that we should do, identifying what do you want to do, why do you want to do it, how do you plan to do it, and what do you expect the constructive result to be when you do that. The problem came in is that we are, as Mr. Fuller indicated, we are not on assignment. What are we going to do about it? And he left off speaking about the arrangements, trashy, tacky, and terroristic as a result of the system of royalty by the punitive actions of those that are in charge. Mr. Fuller, you want to continue that before we... Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, yes, and it doesn't get any better than tacky. I call it the 3 T's: tacky, trashy, terroristic. This is how people relate to each other all over this planet right now, this minute, in 2018. It doesn't get any better than tacky. That's how black people interact with other black people. It's tacky, 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 tacky. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I mean, all the hugs, that's why we go through all these extra emotions in the Northwestern Hemisphere, probably more than any place else. Black people do more hugging and high-fiving than anybody on the planet. And speak of that word love more than anybody. Love you, man. You know, I love you, man. I mean, you know, hey, you know, you're my man. I love you, man. Nowhere is there any love. Nowhere. None. It can't exist in the system of white supremacy. But that's a longing. That's something that we like to do. But you're nowhere close to it because the system does not allow it. The system of white supremacy does not allow that thing called love at all. Why? Because what is love? Real love. Love and justice are one and the same. And since you can't have white supremacy and justice on the same planet at the same time, then you don't have white supremacy and love on the same planet at the same time. Because what is love? Love is justice. So what is justice? Guaranteeing that nobody's mistreated. That's number one. Number two, guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. The most constructive help in what? In everything. Everything like what? All 9 areas of activity. Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Everything constructed in all of those 9 areas of activity 24/7 every day. Now that doesn't exist anywhere on the planet. The planet is in complete disarray and full of hostility. But we talk about love, I mean all the time. Write books about it. Love, 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 love. Preach sermons about it endlessly. And can't find an ounce of it anywhere. Not nowhere. Because it can't be. You can't have love and white supremacy on the same planet at the same time. Why? Now, there are people who will say, oh, yeah, you can love somebody. I mean, regardless of what those white supremacists say. No. It comes down to definitions. Love and justice have the same definition. So are people being mistreated? So if somebody's being mistreated, you don't have love. I mean, that's what love is, a lack of mistreatment. That's why you have people, you know, you throw that word love around so much that it's completely useless. That's why I often use the illustration of a person standing before the judge and say, well, Judge, I did kill her. And the judge says, well, why did you kill her? And say, well, I killed her because I loved her. And I've given that illustration many times. I killed her because I loved her. Now, that brings up a question. What do you do with people that you hate? I mean, you know, do you feed them and clothe them and do everything you can for them? And then somebody that you love, you kill them. See, we don't even make sense.
Yes, sir.
Even when we talk, because the white supremacists have seen to it that even our talk doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, black people more than anybody talk about love all day. We do more hugging than anybody. I mean, and 15 minutes later, there's shell casings all over the sidewalk.
Wow.
Usually between so-called buddies that they say that they love. Love you, man. And in the least little word, everything is in complete disarray, and then the white supremacists have to come around and clean up the mess. Black people's mess. In Baltimore, in Chicago, anywhere you find large numbers of black people, you don't find any love at all, period. And you can't find it in the system of white supremacy anyway. It's not going to happen. You have to get rid of the entire system and actually replace it with a system of justice. Then you'll have love.
Okay.
Then the prison system will be abolished.
Abolished. Okay. Let's go to the phone lines. What line are we on? Line number one? Line number one, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead with your call, please.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Fuller and Mr. Bobby. Wishing you both a constructive and happy year. I have two questions for Mr. Fuller. The first question is, has he read the novel Atlas Shrugged? I read it, and because Mr. Fuller suggested we expose ourselves to different stories and to get the morals out of the stories. And I was surprised. It says a lot of the same things Mr. Fuller says, such as thinking logically. I was curious if he read that novel.
Mr. Fuller, have you read that?
I read that novel many, many years ago, and I became confused about certain elements that were in the novel. So I never put much stock in it. I did learn some things, some viewpoints that were very, very, insightful, and I thought about them. But as a whole, that particular book by Ayn Rand, I think her name was, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, many years ago, when I finally put the book down, I came to the conclusion that there was more confusion in that book.
Okay. What's your second?
And that was my reaction to it, than there was insightfulness. In other words, I found a lot of things that I could think about, but I couldn't come to any conclusion of where my thoughts should lead. The bottom line, the constructive result. See, I'm always looking for that constructive result. I could get constructive results out of Huckleberry Finn, even with the N-word being in there all through the book, which in some places they have banned the book because of the N-word. I had no problems with it, all right, because I understood what Mark Twain was doing. He was just saying, this is the way people talk. This is the way people acted. I mean, when they called Jim, Jim had a name, and that was his last name was Jim. His first name was the N-word, okay, all through the book. But I had no problems with it because in where Mark Twain, the writer of the book, was at the time, this is how people talk and this is how people name people. I mean, in other words, the only way you could tell the white Jim from the black Jim, probably the only black Jim in town, was that, hey, well, I'm not talking about Jim, your buddy. I'm talking about the N-word Jim. And then everybody knows who you're talking about. Oh, you're talking about that Jim down by the river, right?
Okay. What was your second question, sir?
Yes, I want to be sure I understand Mr. Fuller correctly. You mentioned earlier with the royal person taking the guy's sheep. I wondered, what are your thoughts on income tax? I think you mentioned months before that taxes is a form of the government stealing. I wondered what your opinion was on income tax.
All right. Thank you, sir, for your call.
Income tax is something that in the system of, in all governments, I guess, have some type of tax system. I've heard, probably going way back long before racism was invented, some type of tax system. I mean, because you had royal systems, presumably, before then. So you tax the population. You say, well, you know, the tax probably at one time was in the form of not what we call currency. You paid money, but you would just bring, at the end of the year, you would say, go to the magistrate or the royal family, you might say, or the royal family's people that they had assigned to collect taxes, and they will tell you, well, you have 15 goats, and you're going to bring me 10 of those goats. Why? Because I'm royal. And I will decide, you know, what I'm going to do with the goats, and because I'm royal. And probably that's how taxes started and whatnot. Or people may have gotten together. I don't know the whole history of the tax system in all societies, but it might have started out of a mutual need. I tend to believe that's how it all got started, that people would come, gather up the crops and whatnot, and they would all put all of the crops in one big basket, or one big area. They bring whatever they had, cabbage, tomatoes, onions, and then they would say, well, we're going to, in order to pay for this project that we're going to have of boat building, we're going to maybe sell some of these products as a group so that we can help the whole group to build a boat so that we'll have a boat big enough to go back and forth up and down the river, because we don't have a boat. And we need a boat for this entire group of 80 people, and that would help everybody. So they had some type of tax system where they would gather up whatever they had, commodities, or somebody bring a piece of wood that would go to make the boat. And everybody would have to bring a piece of wood next time they came there to the assembly, all right, that would help to make the boat. And that could have evolved in sort of a tax system. I mean, they said, well, I'm going to have to tax you, all right? But we agree to tax each other in order to be able to do something for the entire group. So there's nothing incorrect about taxes. It's just that, is everybody being treated correctly? Is anybody being mistreated in the tax system? Just like any other system. You have correct treatment, you have incorrect treatment.
Yes, sir.
And in the system of white supremacy, the tax system, naturally, is not just when it comes to non-white people. Why? Because we're in the system of white supremacy, that's why.
Okay. Mr. Fuller, this is the point of the program that we allow you to speak concerning your book. So take it away.
You say what now?
Your book. The book.
Oh, yes. You can get the book by going to producejustice.com. Producejustice.com. And what will come up on the screen is a brief description of the textbook, workbook for victims of white supremacy. It's called A Compensatory Counter-Racist Code. The revised expanded edition is of 2016. The original edition came out in the form that it was in on a widespread basis in 1984. But since then, you have a Compensatory Counter-Racist Code revised expanded edition as of 2016 and a word guide, Compensatory Counter-Racist Word Guide, showing you something about how to use words, how not to use words, what words to ask questions about when other people use them. And that's also an extended volume of the basic volume. I would like to have gotten both of these books in just one book, but it would be too thick. But you can get one or both of the books by going to producejustice.com. Producejustice.com. And they are addressed, both books. Everything that I'm saying on this program is addressed to the individual person. That's the missing link. We don't have a code for the individual person. A code is nothing but a way of doing things, a way of saying things, a way of not doing things, a way of not saying things, because all problems are solved through the process of doing and saying. What you do and what you say, and what you don't do and what you don't say. If you're going to solve a problem, there are things that you do, things that you don't do.
Yes, sir.
Things that you say, things that you don't say.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Let's do this. We'll go to the Gmails. By the way, you can get in contact with the show by calling 1-877-932-9766. You can also catch a replay of the program by going to facebook.com/talktainment, a replay of the entire show. You can Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, at gmail.com, or you can simply watch and listen to the program by going to YouTube, type in the word Talktainment, then hit the space bar, type in the word radio, scroll down to Talktainment number 2 live on YouTube, and there you are, you're voila. While you're there, please hit the like button and subscribe on YouTube. Okay, let's go to the Gmails. This is from JR. He says, greetings, Mr. Fuller. I was watching this movie. He didn't name the movie. And two characters had an interesting exchange of words. A female speaking to the Grand Master. Quote, the slaves have armed themselves. Grand Master, you know I hate that word, the slaves word. Female, the prisoners with jobs have armed themselves. End of quote. As Mr. Fuller suggests, watch movies for the lessons. Now, I don't know what lessons that he had on that. What does that mean? But what is your interpretation of that, Mr. Fuller?
I didn't quite get that scenario. Interpretation of what?
I didn't either. I'm just reading it just as J.R. wrote it. But I guess he was saying that, he says, as Mr. Fuller suggests, watch movies for lessons. So whatever movie this was, he was watching it for whatever lesson that was derived from the movie, which he did not state what the lesson was. But he was basically saying that any movie that you watch for the lessons.
Sure. Oh, yes. Any movie that you watch, any book that you read, any TV program that you happen to be looking at, when you after that hour, I mean, a lot of TV programs last for an hour, after you turn the television off, just stop and think. Now, what did you learn from looking at that television program that is of constructive value that you can put to use, either right now or sometime in the future? Always ask that question. And that's a part of the code. I mean, you know, your mind should always be looking for the most constructive thing in every scenario. If you're looking out your window, try to, you know, you say, well, I see people going here and going there. I wonder where they're going and what they're going to do when they get where they're going, and what's constructive about it.
Okay.
If a parade is going by, you say to yourself, now, what am I learning by looking at this parade that I can walk away from here and I can use for a constructive reason? See, parades have a purpose.
Yes, sir.
All right? You know, you go through a lot of expense to have a parade. Now, when the different groups pass by in that parade, doing whatever they're doing in the parade, you stand there and watch and say, now, what is it constructive about this?
Mm-hmm.
All right? Because everything, every move that every creature makes, not only people but animals, is either going to have a constructive effect or a non-constructive effect. And you just divide every move that anybody makes into those, one of those two categories, because there's no such thing as in between.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that happens is going to have a constructive effect or a non-constructive effect.
Yes. Okay.
They're sitting down to eat a plate of food. You can look at what is in that plate. And when you put it in your stomach, it's going to have a constructive effect or a non-constructive effect.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's go to the phone lines. Number one. Okay, number one, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Mr. Bobby and Mr. Fuller. Happy New Year.
Good morning.
I have two questions for Mr. Fuller.
Go ahead.
Oh, yes, sir. Okay, Mr. Fuller, if
if the victims of white supremacy were to produce justice, how could they, if they wouldn't know how to give each other constructive help?
If they were going to produce justice, how would they go about?
No. How could they produce justice if they do not know how to give each other constructive help?
Oh, you can. That's just it. I mean, you're looking right at it. You just said it yourself. You learn how to be of constructive help. You don't contact anybody. That's the way to do it. Make it simple. You don't pick up your phone. And everybody's got a phone now. I mean, everybody's walking down the middle of the sidewalk. I mean, bumping into other people, looking at our communications devices. All right? When you're communicating, ask yourself, what I am saying, is it having a constructive effect or a non-constructive effect? Am I solving a problem or am I making one? Or is anybody who is talking to me, or are they talking to me in a way that a problem is being solved, or is a problem being made? Because chances are it's either one or the other. There's no such thing as in between. You're either making a problem or you're solving one. And sometimes we think that we're solving a problem, and we are solving a problem, but we're making 3 other problems. All right? So there's a passage in the book that says, solve problems without making any. So when you talk to someone, you make sure before you say anything, now, when I finish talking, will I have solved the problem, or would I have made a bigger problem than the problem that already was there? All right? And if, in answer to the question, it's all about problem solving. Black people have not been in the mode of problem solving. We the white supremacists have said, hey, black people are not problem solvers. You're going to solve a problem. You don't send for no black person to solve no problem ever. Okay? I mean, you better get some white people if you're talking about problem solving. I mean, what you're going to have is just a bigger mess if you send for black people. All right? And black people have kind of bought into that themselves. And we kind of get in the habit even of glorifying problems that we make. I mean, I want to grow up and be a gangster, Well, does a gangster solve problems, or does a gangster make problems? Makes more problems than they solve? That question has an answer. All right? When you study gangsterism, the Corleones or the Sopranos, I mean, what problems are they solving? Well, they make a lot of money and whatnot, yeah, but how are they making it? And what is the cost of making it? I mean, you wind up, like Fredo. I mean, wait a minute. See? So, yes, lessons. In what? In problem solving. Now, black people, and this is the main one, and I've said it on this program, and a lot of people have even contacted me, directly, indirectly sometimes, down through the years, and said one of the best things that have come out of what I call the codification system is that black people should not contact each other or anybody else, contact white people, unless they have a constructive reason for doing so. And that will overnight, well, I will say not overnight, that would in the next 5 minutes, that would change the entire world. Just that alone. I mean, everything would just instantly change. If everybody who's talking to someone right now, or getting ready to talk to someone, would stop and think, is this going to have a constructive effect or a non-constructive effect? And if you think it's going to have a non-constructive effect, don't do it. Now, if we just did that alone, the world would change in the next 5 minutes. But we haven't been doing it.
Give time for me.
Okay. Hey, listen, we're going to close out the first hour. Hang on, brother. We're going to get you on the second half. Hang on, Mr. Fuller. TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio, the way it should be heard. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the second half.
got the power. The world's greatest radio. Talktainmentradio.com. Talktainment Radio, worldwide sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
This is the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Welcome to the second hour of the Compensatory Concept, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go on the world's greatest radio. You're in touch with the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am Mr. Bobby, the co-host, and this is Radio the Way It Should Be Heard. Phone lines are now open. We do have one on the line now, but you can call in at 1-877-932-9766. You can also contact the show by Gmail, the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, at gmail.com. You can also listen to a replay of the show by going to facebook.com/Talktainment. Then you can hear the entire show. And you can also do it this way. You can view the show by going to YouTube and typing in the word Talktainment, then hit the space bar and type in the word radio. Scroll down to Talktainment number 2 live on YouTube, and you're right there. And you can hit the like button and also subscribe. Our topic today is the prison system. Within the system of racism, which is white supremacy, Mr. Fuller has hit on several points, but we have a caller on the line to ask a second part of his question. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, sir. Mr. Fuller, have you ever heard of the religion or concept called deism? It's spelled D-E-I-S-M.
I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
Other than that.
Well, I mean, it's a religious concept that says we have a creator or a creative force that created us, and it gave us logic and reason to figure things out. It doesn't involve in our day-to-day interactions or anything like that.
You say it's deism?
Yes, sir. D-E-I-S-M.
Okay. Let's see here, Mr. Fuller. It says here that it's basically a philosophical belief. Deism is a philosophical position that points that God does not interfere directly with the world. Conversely, it can also be stated as a system of belief which possesses God's existence as the cause of it. What would you interpret that to mean, Mr. Fuller?
Oh, I don't know. I would just take it to mean whatever it's supposed to mean from the people that are saying it. They would have to explain what that means functionally in detail. According to the compensatory code, anytime a person says that they have a religion, there are 3 basic things that you want from that person, according to the code. You say, what is the name of your religion? All right. If a person says, I have a religion, you say, okay, you have a religion. What's the name of your religion, sir or ma'am? All right. And let the person tell you. And then the next question is, because it's just 3 questions, what does your religion require you to do in all 9 areas of activity? Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, other people's religions, sex, and war. because most religions have requirements. So that's the next thing you want to know. After you get the name of a person's religion, the second thing you want to know out of the three questions, what does your religion require you to do in each area of activity? Because you're trying to understand that person's religion. And then the third question is, what does your religion require you to do when you interact with me in all of those areas of activity? In the area of economics, in the area of education. In other words, like in economics, there are 9 areas of activity, starting with number 1, economics. Sir, ma'am, what does your religion require you to do when you are engaged in any economical type situation, any situation that involves buying and selling and whatnot? I mean, what does your religion require you to do? You know, does it require you to, when you interact with me, does it require you to, if you're running a business, make me a part of your business? Does your religion require you to do that? All right. Or does it require you to exploit me according to your religion, you know, in your business, to take advantage of me, to cheat me? All right. Okay, and then we move to the second area of activity. What does your religion require you to do in the field of education? Does it require you to try to teach me how to better myself? All right. And in what ways better myself? And are you willing to help me better myself? You know, or does your religion say, no, don't tell me nothing that would be of constructive value to me? Because to do so would make me stronger, and I'm not a part of your religion, and I'm not supposed to be strong if I'm not a part of your religion. So you have to tell me that, because I'm asking that. I want to know this before, you know, since you're telling me about your religion now, you're going to have to tell me everything about your religion. But those are the 3 things we're going to have to know. I'm going to have to know right off the bat. How does your religion, what does your religion tell you to do? And that third question is a loaded one. When you interact with me.
Yes.
I mean, that's all. Now, you know, what the history of your religion is and how many members you have and you know, and all the things that you know, this and that and where you've been and where you came from and all the different names of the people who were your prophets and all. I don't need to know none of that. I just need to know one thing. What does your religion tell you to do when you interact with me?
Yes.
So I'll know what to look for when I see you coming. Because your religion might tell you to kill me. All right? I want to know that. You know?
Okay.
I want to be aware of that. Okay?
Yes.
And so just those 3 things. And this is in the code book. See, people argue about religion all the time. And that's why I'm belaboring this point. You know, if you want to get an endless argument, you start talking about religion in a barber shop.
That is correct.
All right, it will go on forever. You can leave there and come back 40 years later. They'll be having that same argument. All right, with no conclusion to nothing. Well, see, codification is about coming to conclusion.
Yes.
So with those 3 questions, if you don't believe it, you can try it. What is the name of your religion? What does your religion require you to do, sir or ma'am? You know, your religion has requirements. I've never heard of a religion that didn't have requirements. Do you do the things that your religion requires you to do? And then that third question, that's the loaded question. What does your religion require you to do in all areas of activity when you interact with me?
Okay.
And that main one, that third one, is the main one that I want to answer to. Because I just want to know how you're going to relate to me. Now, how you relate to whatever God you have chosen, that's your business.
Yes, sir.
My business is to see to it that you and I interact with each other in a constructive manner. Because if your religion is going to cause me to do something that's non-constructive, I'm going to back away from you. All right?
Okay. Brother J.R. texted me back, Mr. Fuller, and he was speaking about that movie that that he was discussing, and he was basically saying what you have pointed out, which is pay attention to words. And he said that the message or lessons that he received from the movie was changing from saying the slaves have armed themselves to the prisoners with jobs have armed themselves. So I guess that's a new thing. Prisoners with jobs in the system of racism and white supremacy.
Well, in the system of white supremacy, the warden decides what jobs you're going to have in the prison. And this is what black people complain about all the time. I mean, that the white supremacists tell their prisoners where you're going to be working, what kind, what you're going to get as a return for your work, the compensation, which you never get. You never compensated adequate, but you should expect this because you're a prisoner of war. Like in Shawshank Redemption. You have Red and the rest of the prisoners on the rooftop. They're saying, hey, we could be tarring our own roofs if we were, not in this prison, but we're tarring the roof of the prison that we're in. Okay, why? Because we're in the prison. And the roof has to be tarred, the roof has to be repaired ever so often so that the elements from the outside, the snow and the rain, doesn't come down on me in the cell. All right, so you're working within the prison. You're always in the prison. The system of white supremacy is the only government that non-white people, that black people have ever known. We've never known, everybody who's breathing now, we've never known any other system except the system of white supremacy. And it's a prison system for black people. That's what the system of white supremacy is. That's the only government we have ever been subject to. We've not been subject to an American government or an Asian government or an African government. No, we're subject to the government called the system of white supremacy. No other government. And that government is designed to do what? To mistreat and dominate non-white people based on color.
Okay.
And so therefore we're prisoners of that government, and all the jobs that we have are in the prison. Prison farms, or prison rooftop repairers, or prisoners like in Shawshank, like Red and the rest of them, working in the woodwork shop. And Andy Dufresne found a pretty cushy job in the prison.
Yes.
Prison library. All right. And he was able to get a few extra benefits from doing what? Doing the guards' taxes.
Yes, he was assigned that position, correct?
He was assigned that position by the warden. See what I mean?
Yes, sir.
That's how that works. I mean, whatever the warden assigns you to do, that's what you do while you're in the prison. But at the same time, you should be planning what? Like Andy Dufresne, how you are going to eliminate that prison and the warden in the process and replace it with something better.
Yes. Okay. We have a question here from the Gmail. This is from Brother Clark. He says, Mr. Fuller, since you predicted that men would be wearing dresses in the 60s or 70s, do you see men or women walking around naked like it's normal in public places? Thank you. I'm still learning.
Well, they're not exactly naked, but, it depends on what you mean by the degree of nakedness. Yes, I see, you have naked shoulders and whatnot and naked face. And, some societies do not allow you to have a naked face. If you're a female, you have to cover up your face. Okay? It depends on how much nakedness there is. Now, I don't see people walking around completely naked, but that might be in the making. There are groups of people, mostly white, who are advocating all kinds of things in the area of sex. Because, see, nakedness has to do with a connection with sex. Otherwise, people would just not, they didn't feel like wearing clothes, they wouldn't wear clothes. Why do people wear clothes? Just to protect from the elements? No. You cover up certain parts of the body, all right? Now, the white supremacists in the area, the 8th area of activity, anything that has to do directly or indirectly with sex, they pay strict attention to it when it comes to non-white people. All right? They want that non-white male to be more effeminate here in 2018. All right? They got the non-white male because they put him in that position. Non-white males, when they come on television, who do they talk about? They don't mention anything about a father. They always say their mother, their grandmother.
Yes.
Well, my mother did this. My mother told me this. My grandmother told me. Why? Or my sister told me they came up in a house full of females. All right? The only males there were their brothers. Okay? So the females were in the house because the male has been beaten down so much, the black male, in many of what you call households, that he's non-existent. He's out. There are no so-called fathers. Of course, there can't be fathers and mothers in the system of white supremacy that are black anyway. So the boy learns from the female. So he becomes more and more effeminate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that just goes with the package. He copies after his sisters. He wants to be like his sisters. And his sisters' friends, who are all girls, they come around and they sit around and they make girl talk. And the boy, 3, 4, 5 years old, he learns to make girl talk. Now, at some point, he wants to be, what? A man. Now he's got to make a choice. If he's going to become more effeminate, or is he going to become what the fellas that dropped out of school became? Thugs. So this is the choice that the white supremacists give the black male. You can either be a little girl all your life. When you're 40 years old, you're walking around looking for some other male to feel all over your body, and entertain you in that way. Or you're going to be a stone hoodlum, terrorizing everybody that you can encounter on a street corner, in the house that you're in, among your so-called friends, or in the neighborhood where you are, because you know better than to go among the white supremacists with your gang and start anything, because your gang will be non-existent in about 5 minutes, and you know that. So, see, you do all this, one of the 3 T's, terrorism, right where you are, all right? And that's your plan for the rest of your existence. Now, if you don't want to be that, and the white supremacists say, yeah, you can be that, then I got another option for you. You don't want to be a black thug, all right, and glorify thuggism, glorify terrorizing grandmothers on bus stops and whatnot. If you don't want to be that, then you can be a 30, 40-year-old, 20-year-old, 18-year-old aspiring female, but you're a black male.
Yes.
And you females, because you don't have a male, you all can all get in bed with each other and find something to do. Take off your clothes and just roll around in the bed with each other, all of you, with your sisters. You can start off with your sisters and then spread it all over the neighborhood. All you girls sitting around making girl talk, and when the talk gets boring, whatnot, then get naked and lay around in bed with each other. And that is an ideal situation for you scraps of garbage people, because that's all you are garbage anyway in the eyes of the white supremacists. And I'll help you. I'll finance you when you have this type of behavior. If you're going to be a black male entertainer, hey, you better come in this office switching, all right, with your behind turned up or exposed, all right, and let me know where you're coming from, because you don't come to a white person with that thug mentality, because we know we will devastate you if you do that. You don't come to us with that. I don't care what kind of hip-hop songs you sing among yourself. Don't get in my face with that garbage.
Wow.
Because I'll put you in your place.
Yes, sir.
Now, but if you tame it, all right, and put that earring in your ear, now we're talking. Drop your pants a little bit. Now we're getting somewhere, boy.
Wow. TalkTimeAtRadio.com is a 24/7, no-charge worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news, lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, and politics. Now, here's two that I'd like to mention. It's Your World, or It's Your Time to Travel with Ricky Tyus. Good show. Check that out. And also Wiggins World. Stacey Wiggins gives you some dynamic information. Now, listen, all these shows, or these two shows in particular, are exclusive to TalkTainMenRadio.com, and all you have to do is to click on programs for the scheduled times for the show and then all the information that goes with it. From TalkTainMenRadio.com, the way radio should be heard. I am Mr. Bobby, the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller. We're talking about prison and the system of racism, which is white supremacy. We've taken a few calls. Mr. Fuller has explained a few things. Let me say this. We have some reoccurring sponsors that we want to give a shout out to. Brian Gaston, thank you. Eric Williams, thank you. BW Gifts down here in Houston, thank you. Helen Nance and Don Michnier, thank you for your continued support of the second hour of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. And I guess, again, this year we will be having that drive where we solicit your donations. But you can do that all year round. When you go to the homepage, there's a donate button there. You can hit that. You don't have to wait until we actually start doing that. To get in contact with the show, you may do so by calling 1-877-932-9766. You can also Gmail me at the numero number 7, Mr. Bobby, at gmail.com. Listen, you can also do this. You can go to Facebook if you want to hear the program in its entirety again by going to facebook.com/talktainment, and the entire program will be on the air. And you can also do this. YouTube it. Yes. Go to YouTube and type in the word Talktainment, then hit the space bar and type in the word radio. Scroll down to Talktainment number 2 live on YouTube, and you are there. When you're there, like us and subscribe, and you will be all in the house. All right, Mr. Fuller, speaking of that, a question from our Gmail says this: in the entirety of human history, has a system of justice ever existed? If not, how can victims of white supremacy know what justice truly is if it has never been actualized?
By reaching out to logic. In other words, logic has always been the way to go. The creator of the universe put in the universe a thing called logic. What is logic? Cause and effect, trial and error. See, so in recorded history, according to everything I've read, there's never been a system of justice on this planet. There's never been balance between people in recorded history. Mm-hmm. I mean, all of the recorded history, all of the, going back to the Roman Empire and before then and all like that, and the Egyptian empires, they were called empires, all right? And people even now make television programs with the word empire in it. I mean, empire meaning what? Imperialism, which means what? You're lording it over somebody, okay? That's what empire means, okay? That you are making judgments of other people's value and of your own value. And you're saying that, some people are better than others and should be treated as such. And so you carry that theme to its fruition, and you have a thing called non-justice, which means somebody gets mistreated. And it also means that other thing that's lacking when you lack justice. People who need help the most don't get it. They don't get constructive help, because that's what justice is. I had to make up that definition because I couldn't find a definition for justice that made sense. In no dictionary, no encyclopedia. So I made up one that I think will stand the test of time. And if anybody comes up with a better one, I'll grab it, all right, myself, and advocate that everybody else does. But justice, according to what I put in the code book, consists of 2 parts. Guaranteeing that no person is mistreated under any circumstance. That's a guarantee. That's hard to do. But it can be done, even though it's never been done, like the caller said, in recorded history. You don't have an example, but see, you don't have an example of anything that's ever been done. But let's get to the second part. The first part is what? Guaranteeing that no person is mistreated. Second part, guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help in every area of activity. You can't skip over an area of activity. A person needs help. You haven't really helped the person unless you can help them in all of the areas of activity that they need help. Now, this has never been done in recorded history, according to what has been brought to my attention. But you have to think that maybe it can be done. At one time, people say that no aircraft, something that's man-made, can go through the air, or woman-made, can go through the air exceeding 600 miles an hour. I heard that in a barbershop discussion, if I recall correctly. The barbers were telling some of the people in the barbershop, say, I hear tell that they're going to make a plane now that's going to go 600 miles an hour. This is doing what we call World War II, so-called World War II. And, man, a plane go that fast, the wings will come off of it, okay? Now, that's been proven not to be so. You have planes that do far exceed 600 miles an hour, all right? And all down through history, people have said that certain things couldn't be done, that, you know, that you couldn't get, I don't care what kind of contraption you made, you couldn't get no person to fly over those mountains, all right? But somebody came along and invented a thing called an airplane. Now, that was just in a person's mind. Now, correspondingly, it's the same with the concept of justice. Everything starts with a concept anyway, all inventions. And every inventor has been laughed at. And people said it couldn't be done. And I've said it on this program, if you allow me to actually quote how it was said, because it's not my quote, but somebody once said, be careful what you say can't be done, because some damn fool will come along and do it. All right? And this has been proven over and over again. So we can produce a thing called justice. Why? You can conceive of it. That's why. And there's something about the evidence shows that if the Creator can put something in a person's mind, that there is a possibility that because it is in your mind, it possibly can be done by you. Otherwise, if it's, you know, you can't even conceive of it. I mean, if all of the, you know, things start coming together in your mind, think of the first person that thought of making an airplane or making a computer, all right? Think of the first person who said, I think that I can make something that I can, you know, I can figure out things, you know, without the things even being there. I can figure out how to put a bridge across the river. How, you know, and you can walk across it and drive vehicles across it. Somebody had to think about doing that. Now, the first person that mentioned it to another person probably say, nah, I know you've lost your mind. The only way to get across that river is you got to go around it. I mean, you got to find somewhere where the river runs out and go around it, or you can get in one of these boats that somebody invented. All right? But you're not going to get no bridge across this river. Look at that water. Look at how far it goes. I mean, that thing will fall down. I mean, there's no way to do that.
Okay.
But somebody sat down and figured out how to do it.
Yes, sir. Okay, we got to leave it right there for this. TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. Check us out on 94.1 WGRN. Podcasts are available. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. We're going to answer this phone call. Thank you for holding. And more of Mr. Fuller when we return.
Attention Central Ohio. Are you looking for a full-service cleaning company? Call C&E Cleaning Services. No jobs too large or small. And we also clean homes. We're abundant and insured for your protection. Call us today at 614-450-0463. Number again is 614-450-0463. Our expert staff is courteous and professional. You'll be glad you called C&E. Call us today at 614-450-0463.
References provided upon request. We are looking to hire a few good people. Call today.
Goddess, girl, you got this. Dynasty Goddess virgin hair. Watch them stop and stare. Soft, luxurious hair. Dynasty Goddess virgin hair.
Stop paying for overpriced virgin hair. Introducing Dynasty Goddess hair. Soft, luxurious, high-quality hair at affordable prices. Visit dynastygoddess.com or call 800-285-6210. Dynasty Goddess Hair.
Pastor Clifford Riley and the congregation at Mount Grissom Missionary Baptist Church cordially invite you to worship with us. Yes, come to the Mountain of Blessings for a spirited, love-filled experience. Our Sunday services and twice on Wednesday Bible study will change your life. We are located at 2633 Mock Road, and our phone number is 614-475-9712. Again, 2633 Mock Road, or call 614-475-9712.
Are you ready to earn a certification in healthcare, business, or manufacturing while achieving your high school diploma? Then you're ready for Life Skills High School, a free public school option for Ohio students 16 to 21 years old. Learn more about your free high school educational options at lifeskillshs.org.
Queen's Legacy of Love 12 brand launch and grand opening. Currently looking for hosts, photographers, models, dancers, entertainers, ushers, comedians, production managers, model coordinators, stage crew, vendors, volunteers, sponsors, public relations and media personnel, and extras. Contact ggoldqqueen22@yahoo.com.
Queens of Queens. For the best home fragrance and beauty products, shop Ash Kickin online.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Made with 100% natural quality ingredients and handcrafted with your family in mind, Ash Kickin products are better than those other guys. Ash Kickin candles, incense, body butter, face moisturizer, and hair moisturizer are priced just right, and you can get yours at 10% off with coupon code TALK17. Support this 100% black-owned business and get your home and body smelling and feeling all right.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Shop Ash Kickin online at www.ashkickin.com.
This is Al Edmondson, owner of a Cut Above the Rest barbershop. I'm calling on all barbers and beauticians. It's time for us to unite as one. We can serve our communities better together. Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Be the change that you want to see in your community. Join our network.
Think fast. In less than 30 seconds, a small flame can become a big fire. Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and keep heaters 3 feet away from anything that can burn. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov because fire is everyone's fight.
Do you have problems controlling high blood pressure? Good news. You can enroll in Helping Hands Health and Wellness Center's health coaching program utilizing the innovative Twine Health platform. We will help you set your goals, keep in touch with you via your cell phone, and may provide you a free blood pressure cuff. Call us at 614-462-0114 or visit us on the web at www.helpinghandsfreeclinic.org to see if you qualify. This program is provided to you by a grant from the CVS Health Foundation.
See that cute little dog in the pet store? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppies to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. But with one simple choice, you can help, just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Not only are you're taking a stand against puppy mills. Visit bestfriends.org/puppy.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTimRadio.com.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Go ahead. Make my day.
You got the power.
TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. Just simply download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That is radio the way it should be heard. Hi, I'm Mr. Bobby. I'm the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. We've been taking your phone calls. Our topic has been the prison system within the system of racism, which is white supremacy. A special shout out to Brian Gaston, Eric Williams, B.W. Gifts in Houston, Texas, Helen Nance, and Don Mitchner. These are some of our reoccurring sponsors that make sure that we are able to get on. Okay, let's go to the phone lines. Line number 1. Okay, number 1, you're on with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Mr. Bobby, Mr. Fuller. This is Brother Muko.
Hey, Brother Muko.
Baltimore, where we're still holding the CCA, the Compensatory Constructive Action discussions in Baltimore every Saturday. Now this Saturday we'll be at 2406 Druid Hill Avenue for anyone that wants to come out. The CCA discussions. My questions for Mr. Fuller today is this about the prison. Mr. Fuller, from a care unit in Baltimore, can you please expound on how logical sense that if we're in a prison, you cannot have fun in a prison?
Oh, you can have fun in a prison. I mean, depending on what you mean by fun. You can have fun anywhere, but I'll just give an illustration, for example. It depends on what you mean by fun, but the illustration I'll give, in the 1950s, I was in Japan, and I was in a military unit in what they call the Air Force. I had a black sergeant there. He used to use the expression all the time, "All right, fellas, we're going to do this and we're going to do that," whatnot, and usually consisted of some type of work because I was in a supply unit. And so he said, "Now today we're really going to have some fun. We're going to have some fun with this." And the so-called fun would always be a form of work. And so we used to remark on that. He said, "You're talking about we're having fun." Say, "No, you work and then you have fun after you get off from work." That's what I've always been taught. He said, "No, it depends on what your perspective is. You can have fun while you're working." He said, "Anytime you're doing something where you're learning and improving yourself, and while you're doing it, you are improving your mind and improving your body, that should be fun." Okay. You know, and we kind of laughed it off. You say, yeah, you just making it, that you're saying that's to get some work out of us. I mean, you know. Right. But actually, that's true. See, so you can have fun and be constructive at the same time. Now, the white supremacists have taught black people that's impossible. In order to have fun, you got to be doing something that is absolutely stupid. You black people, all right? Do as many stupid things as you can possibly think of, and then call that your fun. When you're away from your work, the things that I require you to do, then the minute that you leave me, start doing stupid stuff among yourselves, all right? And put a label on it that this is entertainment. Why? Because it's stupid. It's not constructive at all. There's nothing constructive about it. It's very non-constructive. It's very even terrorizing sometimes. You can terrorize each other and call it what? F-U-N. Underline. Right. And then they wink at each other and say, "You think they'll go for that?" And the other white guy said, "Yeah, black people always, that's in their nature. They always go for something stupid. I mean, they'll grab something stupid in a minute. If you hand them anything that makes sense, they'll run like hell. I mean, they don't want to have nothing to do with nothing that makes sense. They'll gravitate. It's their nature toward anything that's full of stupidity. They love stupidity. They love things that are non-constructive. And so we will give them tons of it and call it, okay, you all don't have to work no more. Now is the time to have some fun. But make sure that there's nothing in that fun that they're having that has any constructive value at all. And you know what? Generations of black people have bought into that, and we embrace it fully.
Yes. Okay.
And we feel insulted if you have us doing anything that's supposed to be fun, and it's, at the same time, it has constructive value.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Brother Muko, so much. Appreciate your call. Okay.
Thank you too, man.
All right. From our graphics department, they have on the screen, on the YouTube screen, it says the school to the prison pipeline. Usually, in a school, you're usually taught and going right directly to the prison, man. And it is well, in my opinion, it's a pipeline. But anyway, let's go to the Gmails. It says here, Mr. Fuller, this comes from Brother Palmer. I believe, is he in Florida or New York? Anyway, he says this, Mr. Fuller, I have a question. What is the difference between self-preoccupation and loving oneself within the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept? I have heard you say many times that love, friendship, correctness, and justice cannot exist in the presence of injustice. Is this correct?
No, you can't have justice and injustice in the same space. That's contradictory. And the word preoccupation, I don't know what that means. So that, whenever a person uses a word, they'd have to explain what that means, because I don't know what that really means. I've heard the word used.
You mean preoccupation?
Preoccupation, right.
Okay.
Preoccupation. I don't know what preoccupation really is. That term never made sense to me, because it sounds like a contradiction. I mean, everything is occupied, I mean, space is occupied. Why? Space occupies itself, okay? So, preoccupation, something that occupies before it occupies, I don't understand that, because in order to understand it, I think I'd have to be a creator, because the creator creates nothing and then puts something in the nothing, okay? But you have to have the nothing there first in order to put something in the nothing. That's the theory. But I don't know what it looks like when there is nothing and then there's something, and then when nothing doesn't exist and something that goes into the nothing doesn't exist. See, I would have to be a creator to be able to conceive of what that would be like. Just think of, nothing. Like space. They call space nothing. But space is something, because it's space. Okay? Yes. Yeah, they say, but space is nothing. It's, you have to put something in space, but you've got to have the space in order to put the something in. Now, what is it like when you say what comes before space? All right? That's a question. And I would have to be a creator for my mind to stretch that far.
Okay.
I think.
All right.
I think. Now, if anybody comes up with a formula for that, I would like to know what that would look like. What is it that goes when you have space? Everybody's aware of space because you move around in space all the time. But what would it be like before there was space?
Okay.
Now, that's really spacing out.
That's really, spaced out. Okay. Preoccupation, by definition, it's a noun, meaning the state or condition of being preoccupied or engrossed with something. His preoccupation with politics, or his preoccupation with white supremacy. It's something that, according to Merriam-Webster, something that you think about, you're almost obsessed with, to give you a definition of. Their main preoccupation was how to feed their families. That was their primary goal. So this is what that word preoccupied or preoccupation means.
Oh, well, it means something that you do.
Yeah, it's a noun. Yes.
But you are doing something before you're doing something else. Because that's what pre means.
Yes, before, pre before. That's exactly right.
So So it just means you're doing something before you do something else. So it comes down to, or whatever you're doing, is it constructive or non-constructive? Okay? And there are sometimes two things that are both constructive, so it comes down to which should have the priority. If it's two things, you have to choose from. All right? So it might be a simple thing like, shall you go to the grocery store before you go to the barber shop?
Mm-hmm.
All right? So it's just a matter of choosing the most constructive thing to do with the time that you have to do it. And so people make these choices all the time. If I understand what the question is.
Yeah, he just said, what is the difference between self-preoccupation, well, that, before, and loving oneself within the system, within the United Independent Compensatory Coexistence concept?
Oh, you can't show any expression of loving oneself or loving anything without justice. So love is out of the question. We need to stop talking about love within that emotional thing.
Okay.
So that's how we usually look at it. I love you, all right? And then 5 minutes later, you don't do the things, approving anything close to that, which means you don't really know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay? People just throw that word around. That word has been so used in so many different ways.
Yes.
It doesn't mean anything at all.
That's what we have on the screen, words.
Yes. So you lock on that word love to a word that makes sense when you give it a definition that makes sense. And what I've done is said love and justice are one and the same. And since you don't have justice and can't have justice in the system of white supremacy, then you can't have love in the system of white supremacy. You have to get rid of the system of white supremacy before you can have love.
Okay.
Because you can only have love if you have justice, because they're one and the same.
Okay, before we ask you about your book, he concludes that I've also heard you say, Mr. Fuller, that non-white people and white people have never experienced love. Your comment?
Not since the beginning of white supremacy, which we have had attraction, we have had affection, we have had caring, all right? But caring is limited. All caring. You might care for somebody.
Yes.
But you'll say, well, hey, I'll come by the hospital and see you. Every now and then, but I can't come every day. All right?
Okay.
And the person says, well, I'd like to have you every day. Say, yeah, but I can't make it up here every day. All right?
Gotcha.
See, so that's caring, but, it's not adequate.
Okay.
Okay? Affection. You have affection for people, but it has a limit. Okay? See, justice and love has no limits. You can't quantify it. You can't say, I'll do it up to a point and then quit. Okay? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Justice has no end, meaning you guarantee that nobody's mistreated. And you guarantee that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help.
Yeah, there's no condition on it.
Hey, there ain't no condition to measure by.
Okay.
You either have it or you don't.
Okay.
See, there's nothing else in between. You don't have anything to measure by. See, you can measure affection. You can measure caring. And that's why I say that people are not even married in the system of white supremacy if they're black. And that's why I say you don't have a husband and wife. You have care mates. They care about each other.
Okay,
They will do things to help each other, but only up to a point.
Okay.
All right? It does have limits. Okay, why? Because the white supremacists set the limits. They'll see to it. You can pledge anything you want to each other if you're black. A male with a female say, I'm going to marry you, I'm going to take care of you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this for you, and you're not going to do anything unless the white supremacists let you do it, black fella.
Wow.
All right? Which means your so-called marriage is something that they control, which means you don't really have it.
Have it, yes, sir.
If they control it, you don't have it.
You don't have it. Okay. TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby. I am the co-host of the compensatory concept with Mr. Neil A. Fuller Jr. If you would like to get in contact with the show, you may do so by calling 1-877-932-9766. You can also Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, B-O-B-B-Y, at gmail.com. If you want to hear a replay, a rebroadcast of today's show, you can also go to facebook.com/Talktainment. It's all there. And you can do this right here. You can view the program live right now by going to YouTube TV. Type in the word Talktainment, then hit the space bar and type in the word radio. Scroll down to Talktainment 2 live on YouTube, and you're there. Hit the like button and subscribe, and you're all there. Mr. Fuller, this is the time that we have for you to dedicate to your book, so take it away.
Well, it's just you can get the book, and it covers a lot of the things that I have said on this program and other programs and all my programs. I try to say something that's in the book. A lot of things I say are not in the book, but most things are in the book. Most of the things I say are in the book, and you could get the Compensatory Counter-Racist Code, Revised Expanded Edition as of 2016, by going to producejustice.com. That's producejustice.com. And a lot of the questions that people have for me, I have noticed, are answered in the book. Now, the way you can read the book, as in, the best way is recommended in the book itself, that you might not want to, it's a pretty thick book, you might not want to sit down and don't have the time to sit down and just start reading the book page by page. It's in its entirety. But you can pick up the book anywhere, turn to any page. I deliberately wrote it like that. It's segmented into 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. So you can just turn to any page in any area of activity and just read what's there. I mean, I do that myself with my own book. I just, pick up the book and just thumb through it and stop at a page and read whatever it is on that page. And it's written in such a way that you should be able to get something out of it in every page. In every page. I tried to segment it in such a way that you don't have to read 12 pages in a row in order to get the gist of what is being said or the idea that's being conveyed and whatnot. Okay. You might be able to get something out of just one sentence. And at the back of the book, these are all quotes by me, just random quotes that might pertain to any subject. And because I like books of quotes.
Yes, sir.
Right, and that might be something that you might pick up when you're in a bookstore somewhere. Just pick up a book of quotations, and because a book of quotations, you can just turn to any page and you'll see a quotation by someone.
Mm-hmm.
The book that I have, you can go to producejustice.com and get it, has the same type of format in the back portion of the book, of the basic book.
Yes, sir. Okay.
But if you go to a bookstore and pick up any kind of book of quotes, it might help you to improve your thinking on different subjects.
All righty. From the Gmail, Brother Thompson sent me this. He said that, speaking of Florida, the Rosewood Massacre was a racially motivated massacre of black people and the destruction of a black town that took place during the first week of January in 1923 in the rural Levy County, Florida. At least 6 black people and 2 white people were killed, though the eyewitness accounts suggest the death toll as high as 150. The town of Rosewood was abandoned and destroyed in what contemporary news reports characterized as a race riot. Racial disturbances were common during the early 20th centuries in the United States, reflecting the nation's rapid social changes. Florida had an especially high number of lynchings of black males in the years before the massacre, including a well-publicized incident in December of 1923. I've heard, and I think we've discussed it on this program, Mr. Fuller, of not only this, but also the Tulsa race riots, Black Wall Street, I believe was that in 1921? I believe
1921.
Yeah, 1921. There's been several incidents. In the remaining 4 minutes that we have on today's program, could you comment on the tenor of racism in this country?
Oh, well, racism is worldwide. I keep telling people that. And in fact, I don't ever use the term in this country. I never say that. Because when you say racism, you're talking about a world system, the system of white supremacy. It's the only real government on the planet. There is no, you don't go in a certain direction and run into it here and there. It covers the entire planet 24/7. The system of white supremacy. That's the name of it, called racism. Racism is white supremacy. White supremacy is racism. There's no other form of racism in existence on this planet except the system of white supremacy. Everybody's either practicing racism, meaning you've got to be white to do that, or you're reacting to someone who is. And that's it. There's nothing else. And it's not a matter of Rosewood or Tulsa, Oklahoma. I mean, as we speak right now, in 2018, there are millions of black people, non-white people, suffering, dying from diseases. This morning's paper, I saw an article where the Indians, who are long suffering, are now telling about some other way that they're suffering now, from the opioids. They say the pharmaceutical companies have been dumping their pharmaceuticals on the Indian reservations in the Dakotas, here in the northwestern hemisphere, and presumably in other places all over the planet among the people there, and it has a devastating effect. Now, if you punch up on the news somewhere, you'll probably see it on the internet somewhere, that the Indians are complaining on their reservations. They're already in prison, okay, and they are being abused in the prison, like they always have been, and like non-white people all over the planet are being abused under the system of white supremacy. There's no such thing as a place where you can go where you can be safe from it. They cover all places, even when it doesn't look like it, all right? But now they'll say, well, Fuller, somebody will say, well, Fuller, that's not true, because I know some black people who are doing real well and all like that. That's because the white supremacists have what you call showcase non-white people all over the planet. It runs into the millions, all right? But just a few million, maybe 5 or 6 million, I would say altogether. 5 or 6 million people who are showcased, that's some showcasing. If you keep showcasing them, I mean, riding around in limousines and waving at crowds and all like that, and eating well and being overweight, I mean, with food and all like that, and having people wait on them. Yes, there are millions of non-white people who are doing that. But when you compare that to the millions of non-white people who are not doing that, I mean, there's no comparison. See, because the white supremacists, like any other business, they deal in percentages, okay? So they say, sure, we'll see to it that we'll showcase, and this is in the textbook too, racial showcasing. We're going to showcase a few million, maybe 5 or 6 million, maybe 10 million, maybe 15 million.
All righty.
Non-white people who are doing well.
Well, you know, Mr.
All right, and this will throw off the people who are saying there's such a thing as racism. It will confuse them.
All righty.
We'll showcase those who are doing well, but we won't showcase those who are down in the dumps.
All righty, well, we're going to have to leave it there. So talktainmentradio.com, the world's greatest radio, this radio the way it should be heard. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Thank you, callers. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio.
The most important question in all racial matters is why. One should always ask it.
Radio, the way it should be heard.